Sometimes, the funniest movies don't hit us on the first watch. They slip by, misunderstood or ignored, only to rise later as cult comedy legends. Today, we're diving into 15 hilarious parody films that didn't get their due at first, but now, they slay. Each one is a comedic masterstroke, hiding beneath years of misjudged expectations. Let's get started. 1. Top Secret, 1984. When Val Kilmer made his film debut in Top Secret, nobody expected him to deliver one of the most finely tuned, deadpan performances in parody history. But that's exactly what happened. The film, crafted by the same zany team behind Airplane, smashed together Cold War spy thrillers with Elvis musicals. The result? A glorious genre-blending oddball comedy that never slows down long enough to catch its own breath. Kilmer plays Nick Rivers, an American rock and roll star who stumbles into espionage and resistance movements in Nazi-controlled East Germany. The story is deliberately absurd. There's a ballet fight scene, cows wearing boots, and even underwater bar brawls. Top Secret. Bombed at the box office, partly because no one could quite figure out what it was. Was it a musical? A spy spoof? A surrealist fever dream? Decades later, audiences have caught up. The film's slapstick is legendary. Its visuals are tightly choreographed masterpieces of absurdity, and Kilmer's performance is a revelation. It never winks at the audience. It full-on belly flops into lunacy. The more you watch it, the more you catch. Hidden jokes in the background, wordplay in the dialogue, and sight gags that defy gravity and logic. It's a parody that rewards repeat viewings, where every line feels like the setup to a joke you missed before. A comedy that aged into brilliance. 2. Walk Hard. The Dewey Cox Story, 2007. When Walk Hard hit theaters in 2007, it flopped hard. But audiences just didn't get it, at least not yet. John C. Reilly stars as Dewey Cox, a fictional music legend whose rise, fall, and chaotic rise again mirrors every music biopic from Ray to Walk the Line. Except it cranks every cliché up to 11 and then sets the amps on fire. From accidentally slicing his brother in half with a machete to becoming addicted to every drug on the periodic table, Dewey's journey is ridiculous, tragic, and unexpectedly moving. The film doesn't just parody biopics, it lovingly shreds them with scalpel precision. Every overwrought monologue, dramatic overdose, and overwrought concert performance gets lovingly roasted. What makes Walk Hard special, though, is the heart beneath the satire. Reilly sings all the songs himself, and they're surprisingly good. The faux soundtrack, filled with fake hits like Let's Duet and Walk Hard, are catchy enough to make you forget their jokes. The comedy never comes at the expense of craft. Over time, Walk Hard became a cult classic. Fans realized it wasn't just a joke. It was a masterclass in parody writing and performance. It skewers the musical biopic, but it also understands why we love them in the first place. It's the kind of film that audiences got only after the dust settled, after biopics became even more self-serious and ripe for parody. 3. The Kentucky Fried Movie, 1977. Before Airplane made the Zucker-Abraham Zucker team famous, they unleashed this insane, wildly unstructured gem, the Kentucky Fried Movie. It's less a movie and more an unhinged late-night TV binge. Commercial spoofs, public service announcements, fake movie trailers, and short sketches stitched together into a glorious celebration of cinematic chaos. There's no plot to follow, just madness to absorb. One moment you're watching a parody of Enter the Dragon called A Fistful of Yen. The next you're in a fake news report announcing missiles are heading toward New York. Film at 11. It mocks everything. Kung fu, political propaganda, TV ads, even hygiene PSAs. The pacing is relentless, the humor juvenile, and the jokes hit you like pies in the face. Some miss, but when they land hard. What's shocking is how bold it all feels, even today. The Kentucky Fried Movie is crude, rude, and fearless. It shattered expectations of what comedy movies could be, creating the blueprint for future sketch-based films like The Onion Movie and Movie 43. You can't really compare it to anything. You just have to watch it and let it melt your brain. And here's the twist. Beneath the absurdity is razor-sharp satire. It takes a flamethrower to American media culture and dares you not to laugh while the world burns around you. A warning though, it's not for everyone. But if you like your parody unfiltered, raw, and strange, this one slays. Ete bueno. 4. Mars Attacks, 1996. When Tim Burton made Mars Attacks, audiences were baffled. It looked like a sci-fi blockbuster, boasted an A-list cast, and featured sleek CGI Martians. But what they got instead was an off-the-wall satire that felt like Looney Tunes invaded a 1950s alien invasion movie and vaporized it. Jack Nicholson plays 2 roles. Tom Jones sings Mid-Apocalypse, and the aliens' ray guns reduce people to colorful skeletons. And the best part? The Martians are defeated by yodeling. Yes, country yodeling. If that doesn't scream parody genius, what does? Burton deliberately crafted Mars Attacks to feel cheap and absurd. The effects are cartoonish, the acting is over the top, and the plot gleefully nonsensical. It mocks government incompetence, military overconfidence, and political posturing with slapstick flair. But that was the point, and viewers missed it. Over the years, the film found its tribe. Now it's hailed as a cult classic, celebrated for its anarchic spirit and pitch-black humor. Burton didn't just spoof alien movies. He demolished the genre, danced on its grave, and invited Tom Jones to sing the eulogy. Watching Mars Attacks today feels like uncovering a hidden comedy time capsule. It slays harder with every passing decade. 5. Big Trouble in Little China, 1986. When Big Trouble in Little China hit theaters in 1986, nobody knew what to make of it. Was it an action flick? A martial arts fantasy? A comedy? John Carpenter delivered something that was all three, and more. And because of that genre-blending chaos, audiences missed the joke. But today, it stands as one of the most brilliant parodies hiding in plain sight. Kurt Russell stars as Jack Burton, a loudmouth trucker who thinks he's the hero, but he's actually the comic relief. He stumbles through fight scenes, misreads every clue, and generally causes more problems than he solves. And that's the twist. Carpenter flips the action movie formula on its head. The so-called hero is a clueless blowhard, and the real action unfolds behind him. The film itself is a kaleidoscope of Eastern mythology, neon-lit mysticism, kung fu showdowns, and supernatural absurdity. There are sewer monsters, ancient curses, and lightning-wielding sorcerers, all rendered in glorious practical effects. It's silly, it's surreal, and it never stops moving. When it premiered, Big Trouble was a box office bomb. Critics were confused, and the marketing didn't help. But in the years since, it's become a cult favorite for fans who love genre films with a twist. It's funny without being obvious, satirical without being smug. And it invites you to watch it again and again, to notice the layers of irony behind Jack's one-liners and the deliberate ridiculousness of the plot. In many ways, Big Trouble in Little China was parody ahead of its time. It didn't mock action movies. It reimagined them, undercutting the hero archetype with humor and humility. And somehow, that made it unforgettable. 6. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, 1993. Mel Brooks has always been a master of parody, but when he turned his satirical arrow toward Robin Hood, the result was an absurdly fun and endlessly quotable comedy that we didn't appreciate nearly enough the first time around. Robin Hood. Men in Tights takes aim at the overly serious Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and hits the bullseye with a barrage of laughs. Cary Elwes plays Robin Hood with just the right mix of charm, ego, and smirk. He's the only Robin Hood, he reminds us, who can speak with an English accent. And that's just the beginning. The film skewers everything. Corrupt sheriffs, romantic tropes, musical numbers, and even Hollywood's obsession with giving every hero a dramatic origin story. The comedy is relentlessly self-aware. Characters break the fourth wall, comment on the script, and even argue about the budget mid-scene. Dave Chappelle, yes, a young Dave Chappelle, makes his film debut as Achu, bringing a fresh energy to the legendary tale. And let's not forget the villain, the Sheriff of Rottingham, whose malapropisms are funnier than most modern comedies' entire scripts. Despite its stacked jokes and clever writing, Men in Tights didn't quite find its audience in 1993. Critics dismissed it as too silly, too shallow, but time has been kind. Today, it's a cult favorite, endlessly rewatchable and more relevant than ever, because it reminds us that even our most serious myths are ripe for ridicule, and that laughter, like archery, is all about the timing. Scary Movie. In the year 2000. In the year 2000, Scary Movie Crash landed into theaters with all the grace of a haunted funhouse, and it changed parody forever. Written by the Wayans brothers, it didn't just spoof horror. It disemboweled it, stapled it back together, and made it dance with a whoopee cushion. At the time, critics didn't know what to do with it. It was too crude, too chaotic, but audiences couldn't stop quoting it. The brilliance of Scary Movie lies in how it mocks with precision. It skewers Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer with laser-guided parody, but it also pulls in every horror trope imaginable. The jump scares, the don't go in there moments, the final girl cliches. Carmen Electra gets chased in slow motion while adjusting her lip gloss. Marlon Wayans smokes weed with the killer. Shannon Elizabeth's decapitated head still tries to flirt. It's gleefully immature. It's outrageously offensive. And it's incredibly smart beneath the surface. Because what Scary Movie does so well is mimic the very structure of a real horror film. The jokes are built into the bones of the story, not slapped on top. That's what makes it work. It's not just a series of gags, it's a functioning slasher movie with a comedy engine. Over the years, it launched a franchise, one that became increasingly uneven, but the original stands tall. It showed that parody could be commercial again. It made horror fans laugh at their own obsessions. And it taught a generation that sometimes the scariest thing about horror is how predictable it can be. If you missed it, or dismissed it, give it another go. Scary Movie didn't just slay the horror genre, it gave it a makeover. With fart jokes. 8. Hot Shots, 1991. What happens when you drop Top Gun into a blender with every 80s action cliché and hit puree? You get Hot Shots, a delirious, high-speed parody that never gets enough credit. Released in 1991, it came from the creators of Airplane and starred Charlie Sheen as Topper Harley, a fighter pilot so emotionally unstable he makes Maverick look like a yoga instructor. The film parodies Top Gun first and foremost, but it doesn't stop there. It throws in jokes about 9.5 weeks Dances with Wolves, Superman, and even Rocky. There are gags about bacon sizzling on abs during a scene. There's a general who doesn't know what year it is. There's a psychic cat. Every frame is loaded with visual puns, meta commentary, and background jokes you won't catch until your third rewatch. What makes Hot Shots so effective is its commitment. Sheen plays it absolutely straight. He's a parody of an action hero who doesn't know he's in a parody. And that makes it all the funnier. His stoicism only highlights the absurdity erupting around him. Lloyd Bridges, as Admiral Benson, steals scenes with lines that sound like they were written in a fever dream. At the time, Hot Shots was a modest hit, but not celebrated like Airplane or Naked Gun. It faded from mainstream memory, but among fans of parody, it's revered. Because it's not just funny, it's skillful. Every joke lands with precision, every reference is layered, and every punchline is lovingly crafted. So if you overlooked Hot Shots, thinking it was just another spoof, you missed out. It doesn't just fly, it soars. 9. This is Spinal Tap, 1984. Before there were mockumentaries, there was This is Spinal Tap. Rob Reiner's razor-sharp satire of the rock and roll lifestyle was so convincing that many first-time viewers thought it was real. That's how well it parodied the self-destructive excess, inflated egos, and outright absurdities of heavy metal bands in the 1980s. The film follows the fictional British band Spinal Tap as they embark on a disastrous US tour. Their amps go to 11, but their audiences don't. The band gets lost backstage. Their stage props include a Stonehenge monument so tiny it's almost crushed by a dancing dwarf. Their drummers keep dying. It's all so ludicrous, but also eerily familiar to anyone who's seen a VH1 Behind the Music episode. What makes Spinal Tap work is how close it skirts to truth. Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer improvise most of the dialogue, creating a realism that makes the parody sting. Every awkward silence, every botched performance, every ridiculous interview hits a nerve because we've seen real rock stars behave just like this. It wasn't a smash hit in 1984. But as time went on, it became a holy grail of comedy. Musicians from Metallica to Aerosmith admit the film hit too close to home. It defined the mockumentary genre and set the tone for later works like The Office, Parks and Recreation, and Best in Show. This is Spinal Tap isn't just a funny movie. It's a mirror held up to the madness of celebrity, fame, and delusion. And it dares to crank parody all the way up to 11. 10. Young Frankenstein, 1974. Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder joined forces in Young Frankenstein, and what they created was more than a parody. It was a love letter to classic horror cinema. Shot in black and white, using original props from the 1931 Frankenstein, and scored like a Gothic opera, this film was steeped in reverence. But then, of course, it broke into laughter. Wilder plays Dr. Frederick Frankenstein. It's pronounced Frankenstein, a descendant of the infamous Victor. He wants nothing to do with his ancestors' legacy, until, of course, he finds himself reanimating a corpse with a brain labeled Abby Normal. From there, it's a perfect blend of slapstick, wordplay, and comedic timing that few films have ever matched. What makes Young Frankenstein different is its tone. It never mocks the old horror films. Instead, it mimics their mood, their lighting, their structure, and then pulls the rug out from under them. From Putting on the Ritz to the blind hermit scene, it's all perfectly crafted chaos. Marty Feldman's Igor, or Igor, and Madeline Kahn's fiery fiancé are unforgettable, rounding out a cast that delivers joke after joke with theatrical precision. And yet, there's heart here. There's warmth in the monster. There's sympathy in the madness. And it's that emotional core that elevates the film beyond parody. Today, Young Frankenstein is regarded as one of the greatest comedies of all time. But in its day, it took time for audiences to catch on to its brilliance. If you missed it back then, don't worry, you're not alone. But now's the time to go back and appreciate the perfect storm of homage and hilarity. 11. Hot Fuzz, 2007. On the surface, Hot Fuzz looks like a British buddy cop movie. But beneath the stiff uniforms and sleepy village setting is one of the smartest parodies ever made. Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg didn't just spoof American action films, they infused them with English dry wit and a plot so layered it folds in on itself. Pegg plays Nicholas Angel, a super cop from London reassigned to a quiet town that hides a sinister secret. Alongside the bumbling Danny Butterman, played brilliantly by Nick Frost, Angel uncovers a murder spree cloaked in small-town tradition and bureaucracy. Think Bad Boys meets Midsummer Murders, with a dash of The Wicker Man thrown in. What sets Hot Fuzz apart is its meticulous attention to detail. Every setup has a payoff. Every genre trope is both mocked and honored. It doesn't just copy the cliches, it interrogates them. The shootouts are outrageous, the conspiracies are absurd, and yet the characters feel real, grounded in a world you believe, until it explodes in a blaze of choreographed insanity. Wright's direction is kinetic, stylized, and relentlessly inventive. He uses quick cuts, zooms, and sound effects to elevate mundane tasks into action-packed beats. It's parody disguised as perfect filmmaking. Initially, Hot Fuzz flew under the radar for international audiences, overshadowed by Wright and Pegg's previous hit, Shaun of the Dead. But over time, it carved out a devoted following. And now, it's heralded as a masterclass in genre blending, equally hilarious and thrilling. If you love action movies, you'll love Hot Fuzz. And if you hate action movies, you'll love it even more. 12. Blazing Saddles, 1974. It's hard to talk about parody without bowing to Blazing Saddles, a film so bold, so outrageous, that it couldn't be made today. And yet, when it premiered, many didn't know what to make of it. Was it a Western, a satire, a slapstick comedy? The answer, it was all of the above, and it was revolutionary. Mel Brooks' 1974 masterpiece stars Cleavon Little as Bart, a black sheriff who rides into a racist Old West town and turns every Western cliché inside out. Alongside Gene Wilder as the Waco Kid, Bart takes on corrupt politicians, clueless townsfolk, and the deeply embedded prejudices of the genre itself. The jokes come fast and filthy. Farting cowboys, exploding sets, meta-narratives that break through movie studio walls. But underneath the chaos is biting social commentary. Brooks used parody not just to mock, but to expose. Blazing Saddles lampoons racism, hypocrisy, and Hollywood's own sanitized vision of the American West. It wasn't universally loved upon release. Some critics were uncomfortable with the language, the tone, the absurdity, but it resonated with those who saw its brilliance. That laughter can be a weapon sharper than any six-shooter. Over time, Blazing Saddles became one of the most influential comedies in film history. It inspired generations of filmmakers to push boundaries, challenge norms, and never be afraid to go too far in the name of truth, so long as it made people laugh. It's not just a parody, it's a protest. A parody that slays and never misses. 13. Life of Brian, 1979. If Monty Python and the Holy Grail pushed the boundaries of absurdist comedy, then Life of Brian sprinted past them, tore them down, and danced on the rubble. Released in 1979 to both acclaim and outrage, this parody of biblical epics didn't just mock the genre, it challenged the way we think about faith, fanaticism, and the absurdity of institutions. The film tells the story of Brian Cohen, a man born in the stable next door to Jesus. Through a series of increasingly ridiculous misunderstandings, he's mistaken for the Messiah and swept into a movement he never asked to lead. From the People's Front of Judea to the infamous crucifixion sing-along of Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, the film is packed with some of the sharpest satire ever put to screen. What makes Life of Brian so powerful is how it balances silliness with substance. It's hilarious, yes, but it's also deeply insightful. The pythons aren't mocking religion itself. They're lampooning the ways people blindly follow, misinterpret, and weaponize belief. It's biting, fearless, and often uncomfortable, but never without purpose. At the time, Life of Brian was banned in several countries and condemned by religious groups. But over the decades, it's been reevaluated not just as one of the funniest films ever made, but also as one of the most important. It dared to go where no comedy had gone before, and did it with wit, courage, and a whole lot of absurdity. If you missed it, now's the time. Because few parodies slay with such elegance, insight, and irreverent joy. 14. Galaxy Quest, 1999. Galaxy Quest is the kind of parody that sneaks up on you. Released in 1999, it looked like just another sci-fi comedy until you realized it wasn't mocking science fiction. It was celebrating it with love and lasers. The film stars Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, and Alan Rickman as washed-up TV actors from a cult space show. Basically a Star Trek knockoff. But when real aliens mistake their reruns for historical documents, the crew is abducted and forced to lead a very real interstellar war. Suddenly, their bad acting becomes a matter of life and death. What's brilliant about Galaxy Quest is its tone. It never laughs at sci-fi fans. It laughs with them. It gently roasts conventions like the overdramatic captain, the token female character, the disposable red shirt. But it also honors what makes these tropes so beloved. The film knows its audience and it treats their passion with genuine warmth. Alan Rickman delivers a scene-stealing performance as a classically trained actor trapped in a rubber alien suit. And Sam Rockwell is hysterical as the expendable extra terrified he's about to die at any moment. The jokes are smart, the action is fun, and the heart, it's sincere. Galaxy Quest wasn't a huge hit when it premiered, but over time, it's become a legend. Sci-fi fans call it the best Star Trek movie ever made, and they're only half joking. Because Galaxy Quest didn't just spoof the genre, it understood it. And that's why it slays. 15. Black Dynamite, 2009. Blaxploitation films of the 1970s were gritty, over the top, and often unintentionally hilarious. Black Dynamite takes those tropes and turns them into pure comedic gold. Written by and starring Michael Jai White, this 2009 parody is so faithful to its source material that it feels like a long-lost film from the era. If that film were brilliant, self-aware, and packed with perfect punchlines. White plays Black Dynamite, a kung fu fighting, orphan-saving, Vietnam vet super cop who declares war on the man after his brother is killed. The film is riddled with bad jump cuts, visible boom mics, and continuity errors. All intentional. Every line delivery is exaggerated. Every plot twist is outrageous. There's even a conspiracy involving malt liquor, and let's just say the payoff is unforgettable. What makes Black Dynamite slay isn't just its commitment to parody. It's the respect it shows for the genre. The filmmakers clearly love blaxploitation cinema. They just love pointing out how ridiculous it could be. And they do it with razor-sharp writing, brilliant timing, and a performance by White that walks the perfect line between homage and hilarity. Despite being a festival favorite, Black Dynamite didn't become a mainstream hit. But its fan base grew rapidly. It spawned a cult following, an animated series, and countless memes. It's not just a parody, it's a masterclass in comedic genre filmmaking. If you missed it the first time, do yourself a favor. Watch Black Dynamite. It's as stylish as it is stupid, as brilliant as it is bonkers, and it absolutely slays. And there you have it. 15 parody movies we all overlooked at first, but now we know they're comedy gold. If any of these passed you by, it's time to hit play, laugh hard, and appreciate the genius we missed. Like, subscribe, and let us know your favorite overlooked parody in the comments.